On BBT, Founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Nitya Leela Pravishta Astutar Sat Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपे गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री गंगा माई की जय, श्री जमुना माई की जय, श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की जय, वृंदे देवी की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Shaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Rabhavati Naistaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. This morning we are reading from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 20, text number 8. Yeah, text number 8. Nishamukeshu khadyotas Nishamukeshu khadyotas Tamasa bhanti nagraha Samasa bhanti nagraha Yatha papena pashanda Yatha papena pashanda Nahi veda kalo yuge Nahi veda kalo yuge Nisha mukhe shukhadyotas Tamasa bhani nagraha Yatha papena pashanda Nahi veda kalo yuge Mataji's. Nisha Mukheshu, during the moments of evening twilight. Khadyota, the glowworms. Tamasa, because of the darkness. Bhanti, shine. Na, not. Graha, the planets. Yatha, as. Papena, because of sinful activities. Pashanda, atheistic doctrines. Na, and not. He, certainly. Veda, the Vedas. Kalo Yuge, in the age of Kali. Translation. In the evening twilight, during the rainy season, the darkness allowed the glowworms, but not the stars, to shine forth. Just as in the age of Kali, the predominance of sinful activities allows atheistic doctrines to overshadow the true knowledge of the Vedas. Please repeat after me. In the evening twilight, during the rainy season, the darkness allowed the glowworms, but not the stars, to shine forth. Just as in the age of Kali, the predominance of sinful activities allows atheistic doctrines to overshadow the true knowledge of the Vedas. Purport. Srila Prabhupada comments as follows. During the rainy season, in the evening, there are many glowworms visible above the tops of trees, hither and thither, and they glitter just like lights. But the luminaries of the sky, the stars and the moon, are not visible. Similarly, in the age of Kali, persons who are atheists or miscreants become very prominently visible, whereas persons who are actually following the Vedic principles for spiritual emancipation are practically obscured. This age, Kali Yuga, is compared to the cloudy season of the living entities. In this age, real knowledge is covered by the influence of the material advancement of civilization. The cheap mental speculators, atheists, and manufacturers of so-called religious principles become prominent, like the glowworms. Whereas persons strictly following the Vedic principles or scriptural injunctions become covered by the clouds of this age. People should learn to take advantage of the actual luminaries of the sky, the sun, moon, and stars, instead of glowworm light. Actually, the glowworms cannot give any light in the darkness of night. As clouds sometimes clear even in the rainy season, and the moon, stars, and sun become visible, so even in this Kali Yuga, there are sometimes advantages. The Vedic movement of Lord Chaitanya, the distribution of chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is understood in that way. People seriously anxious to find real life should take advantage of this movement instead of looking toward the so-called light of mental speculators and atheists. Mukam karoti vachanam panghuna langayate girim yat kripa tam ham vande shiguru dina taranam parmananda madhavam. In this chapter, Srila Shukadeva Goswami describes the rainy season and the autumn season, Varsha Ritu and the Sharat Ritu. This occurs in this context after Krishna had saved the cowherd boys from a devastating forest fire and also the demon named Pralamba Sura. This is a very beautiful description of the rainy season as well as the Sharat season, which is the autumn season. This season, the rainy season, is very welcome because it nourishes all the vegetation, flowers, and the very earth itself. Everything becomes very lush, green, very beautiful. This season, rainy season, and then which is followed by the autumn season, is actually described in the Bhagavatam as the expansion of the Atma Shakti of the Lord. And as such, it is very dear to the Lord. And the Lord even respects this, offers his respect to this wonderful season. Wherein the earth, which has been starved for 8 months due to the hot summer season, lack of rains and all that, becomes very beautiful and lush. So, this being so, there are still some anomalies in the rainy season. One of these anomalies is described in today's verse, that although the rainy season is very welcome, the animals feel relieved, peacocks, birds, they feel very joyful. Yet one of the anomalies is that in the rainy season, the glowworms become very prominent in the heart, in the darkness, tamas, and they hide the actual luminaries, the sun and the moon and the stars. This is the anomalous situation in the rainy season. And Sri Shukadeva Goswami ji has very nicely explained or compared this situation in Kali Yuga, to Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, atheists become more prominent. Mental speculators become more prominent. And they do not care for the Vedic scriptures. One Hindi poet Srila Prabhupada has quoted, this Hindi poet has described Kali Yuga in this way, like चोर को छोड़े गरीब को दे फांसी, धन्य है कलयुग तेरा तमाशा, सोचे थे हंसे कभी रोए. This is the Hindi poet, Srila Prabhupada quotes him sometime. Says that, चोर को छोड़े, the criminal is left away, गरीब को दे फांसी, the poor man who cannot afford legal whatever, he is punished, गरीब को दे फांसी, धन्य है कलयुग तेरा तमाशा. कलयुग, your tamasha is धन्य. सोचे थे हंसे कभी रोए. Sometimes I feel laughing, this poet is saying, and sometimes I feel crying when I see the tamasha of Kali Yuga. The innocent man is being punished and the criminal छोड़ देता उसको, let go. The Bhagavatam also describes this, that in the 12th canto, Shukadev Goswami ji describes to Maharaj Parikshit very nicely, Kalo dosha nidhe rajan asti hi eko hi mahaguna kirtanad eva hi yasya mukta sanga param raje. Says that Kalo dosha nidhe rajan, it is an ocean of faults. Everywhere we are seeing. And day by day they are increasing. Kalo dosha nidhe rajan asti hi eko mahaguna. But despite all these faults of Kali Yuga, there is a great benediction. Asti hi eko mahaguna, very good quality of Kali Yuga, which was not there in the previous yugas. It is Kirtana deva yasya mukta sanga param. Kirtana, only by chanting of the holy name. Kirtana devasya mukta sanga param rajet, one can get the highest perfection and go back to Godhead. Kirtanad eva hiyasya mukta sanga param braje. Indeed, this Kali Yuga is so glorious that in the 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami says to Parikshit Maharaj that the sages in previous yugas, Satya Yuga, Treta, Dwapar Yuga, they were very anxiously waiting for Kali Yuga to come. They were glorifying Kali Yuga. When will this Kali Yuga come? They are very anxiously waiting for Kali Yuga. Bhagavatam also mentions that in Kali Yuga there will be many devotees, especially in South India, who will be in the branches, in the banks of the pious rivers. So the sages themselves were waiting very much for Kali Yuga to come. Parikshit Maharaj, when he met the personality of Kali Yuga, who was a Shudra disguised as a royal king, Parikshit Maharaj was a very capable person. He could have immediately killed the personality of Kali Yuga, because he knew Kali Yuga was very sinful, it's going to create a lot of havoc. Yet Parikshit Maharaj realized that in Kali Yuga, sinful activities have to be actually performed. Not only by thinking, just by thinking about sinful activities, one is not punished. But until one commits some sinful activities. Whereas in other yugas, merely thinking about sinful activities, one had to suffer so many sinful reactions. But in Kali Yuga, until you actually perform the sinful activity, you do not get any punishment. And the converse of it is also true. If one simply thinks of pious activities, does not even perform them, he gets benefit, he gets spiritual benefit. So that's why Parikshit Maharaj did not kill this Kali Yuga. And the second reason why he did not kill Kali Yuga, or the personality of Kali Yuga, was that because in Kali Yuga, as we just recited that verse by Shukadeva Goswami, Kirtanadavya yasya mukta sangaparam braje. Kirtanad eva yasya. My chanting of the holy names, one is liberated, goes back to Godhead. This is the advantage in Kali Yuga, the benediction that is available in Kali Yuga. And this Kali Yuga especially is a very special Kali Yuga, because Lord Chaitanya appeared in this Kali Yuga. It is not that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in every Kali Yuga. He appeared in this very special Kali Yuga. And we have heard about lockdowns. We are hearing any times about lockdown. We hear about the COVID lockdown. So many times it has already taken place, the lockdowns, maybe take again. But actually, the real lockdown is the material world itself, samsara. That is the big lockdown, wherein the living entities who have, out of their own will, left Krishna's service are put into this lockdown or a fortress, samsara. And who is the jailer of this samsara? Who can say? Which demigod? Yeah? Durga Mata, correct, Durga Devi. Durga Devi is the jailer of this lockdown. And we have come within this lockdown out of our own will. It's not that Krishna wants us to be here. We came out of our own will. But the Vedic scriptures also give us the method to go out of this lockdown, out of this jail. That is the process of Krishna consciousness. We have to follow that process of Krishna consciousness. Now I'm going to talk about another type of lockdown, which was the transcendental lockdown. This was around the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is described very eloquently by Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Ras Bihari ki jai, Shri Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. So this transcendental lockdown, what is this transcendental lockdown? This transcendental lockdown, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that before the advent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna Prem was available, but only to a very few, very few, you can count on the figures, persons. It was sealed, and the locks, the gates of this go down, he uses the word bandhara. Bandhara means go down. The locks of this bandhara or this go down were so strong, no one could even touch them, what to speak of opening the locks. What this means is that Krishna consciousness was available, or Krishna Prem was available to very few people. But then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes so eloquently that the Panchatattva, the members of the Panchatattva, they broke open the doors. Locks broke opened the gates, and they looted all the contents. What were the contents? The contents were Krishna Prem. Lutiya, looted, not only stealing. Krishna was only stealing butter and many other things, but here the word is used, looting. Looted the contents of the go down, emptied it, tasted it, and then distributed this to everyone. And the astonishing thing of this go down, as they looted it, it filled up 100 times more. 100 times more. Satguna bade, 100 times more. Lutiya, khaya, diya, bandhar ujaida. They opened the floodgates of Krishna Prem. Then Ascharya Bandhara. Prem Satguna bade. This is the quality of that Bandhar. Looted it, 100 times more full. Again they emptied it and distributed it. Again 100 times. This was it. And then in that same correction, it says, Krishnadas Kaviraj says, Patra apatra nahi, nahi sthan asthan, ye yahan paye taha kare prem dhan. Patra apatra, whether someone is patra, patra means yogya or qualified. Patra, whether one deserves. Apatra, whether it's unqualified. Patra apatra nahi vichar, nahi sthan asthan. Neither they care which sthan, which place, this place, that place. No, just give on. Say Diva Krishna Prema Dhan. The highest wealth, the greatest wealth of Krishna Prem. They gave to anyone and everyone who they met, anywhere and any place they met. Now in this verse, very nicely described that the glowworms, some insect at night you might have seen, produces some light, they become very prominent and they hide the light of the moon at night. The Bhagavatam already has predicted this. This will happen. Prayan alpayusu kalo asmin jamana yuge manda sumandamateo manda bhagyahi paradita. People are very short-lived. Prayan alpayusu, very short-lived. Kalo asmin jana yuge manda sumandamateo. They are very lazy, very less intelligent, and always disturbed. That has already been predicted in the Bhagavatam. In addition to that, in the Skanda Purana, there is mentioned one other reason why people will become atheistic and lose their knowledge day by day in Kali Yuga. So this incident concerns the benediction which Lord Shiva had once given to Gautam Rishi. So the benediction was that wherever Gautam Rishi stays, in that kshetra, in that ashram, there will be always an abundance of grains. There will be never shortage of grains in that place. This was the benediction which Gautam Rishi had obtained from Lord Shiva. Now, after some time, there was a drought in that area, in that kshetra where Gautam Rishi was staying. But because of the benediction of Lord Shiva, his ashram was always full of grains. Outside the ashram, there was drought in the whole land. Now, there were many rishis who knew about this benediction of which Gautam Rishi had got. So they came to his ashram for shelter. And Gautam Rishi was very happy. He was very pleased. Like-minded people, other like-minded people. So he was a Rishi. He appreciated the association of the other Rishis. He was very happy in that. And several months passed. Then finally some rain started coming. So when rain started coming in that area, all these sages, they wanted to go back to their respective ashramas. They said, we have other things to do also. We cannot just keep on staying at your ashram. Please let us go. It was their duty to take permission from Gautam Rishi. But Gautam Rishi was so much attached to the association of these rishis, wonderful rishis. So he would always deny them permission and make some excuses. No, don't go. Just stay here for some time. You wait. Now it's not the time for you to go. He would always make some excuses. So these rishis, they were in a dilemma. We have to take care of so many things. Our ashrams have been vacant for so long. And this Gautam Rishi ji, with all due respect, but he's not allowing us to go, to leave his ashram, to go back to us. So they devised a plan. So they created a Maik cow. It resembled completely like a cow, but it was a Maik cow. It was not substantial. So when Gautam Rishi saw this Maik cow, because he was very fond of cows, he had deep affection for cows, he went to embrace that cow out of love. So as he tried to embrace that cow out of love, the cow, it was a Maik cow, died and fell down. So the rishis, they took advantage of this situation. It was their plan, of course. It was their plan. This ashram is very inauspicious. A cow has died here. We cannot stay here any moment. We cannot stay any longer here. We must leave him immediately. So they packed all their things, luggage, and left Gautam Rishi's ashram. They had all left. So Gautam Rishi was very perturbed by the situation. All these rishis have been so much affectionate to me all these days. I had a very personal, friendly, cordial relationship with them. All of a sudden they all go away. But through his mystic powers, he could understand that these rishis, they have played a trick on me. They wanted to leave and they knew I would not allow them to leave so easily. So they created this Maik cow. So he was very unhappy with this, very angry with this. So he cursed. I curse that in Kali Yuga, all the Brahmanas will lose their knowledge. As it is in Kali Yuga, predicted in Bhagavatam also, people are less intelligent, lazy, unfortunate. But this curse of Gautam Rishi accelerated that decline in knowledge. As it was happening anyway, but this, due to the curse of Gautam Rishi, accelerated. And today's verse, as we see, that atheists, speculators, pashandis, they become prominent. The followers of the Vedas or the Vedic scriptures, they are obscure. So that's why the Srimad Bhagavatam advises that Krishne Swadhamopagate Dharma Jnanadi Visaha Kalo Nasham Drisham Nesha Punar Arko Adhunoditaha. This Srimad Bhagavatam has written soon after the departure of Lord Krishna. Krishna Swadhamo Bhagate, when Krishna left for his own abode. with dharma jnana adhi kalo nasham drisham mesha. People who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of punanarko adhunoditaha. So this is the duty, the task that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has left for all of us to perform by preaching the messages of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj, always used to say that pran ache yaar se hetu prachar. Any person who has life will preach. Pran ache yaar se hetu prachar. Your life is meant for preaching only. And conversely, if you are preaching, it means you have some life. If you are preaching, it means you have some life. So, how do we preach? The best mode of preaching, as Prabhupada would often say, is to distribute my books. People, they read one word, one sentence of what's in my book, their life will be changed. Lectures, giving lectures, kirtans and all very auspicious activities. But when person receives the book, then he will refer to those books again and again, and his book, life will be changed. Srila Prabhupada gave so much importance to this book distribution, this most important activity. Prabhupada said that this BBT, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, book publishing, is the heart of ISKCON. Book distribution is the heart of ISKCON. And Prabhupada said, this is also my heart. It means Prabhupada's heart. So in any body, in our bodies, what is the most important organ? The heart. The heart is the most important organ. So that's why Prabhupada gave great emphasis to preaching, book distribution, and book reading also. I will come to that in a moment. One time in America, one reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, Swamiji, what will happen when you die? That was the question. I'll repeat the question. Swamiji, what will happen when you die? And Prabhupada's answer, which is one of the most nectarian statements from Srila Prabhupada's lotus mouth. Of course, we respect, and every statement from Srila Prabhupada is nectar, is very relevant to all of our lives. Yet, I find this particular statement, which I'm going to give very nice shortly, is most nectarian, at least I find that, and it's like Sanjeevani, gives very life to me, at least, probably to all of you also. Prabhupada's answer to the question, what will happen when you die? Prabhupada's answer, I will never die. I will never die. I will always live in my books. Prabhupada's direct quotation, I will live always in my books. That's why book distribution is very important, because by reading the books and distributing the books, we are actually associating with Srila Prabhupada. And in another incident, right here in Mumbai, Srila Prabhupada was once preaching to some life members. He quoted some verses, and this episode is being shared by one of my god brothers. His name is Bhagavad Das. Bhagavad Das narrated this episode. So after those life members left Prabhupada, Prabhupada asked Bhagavad Das, Bhagavad, did you understand what I was preaching? Do you know the shlokas? So Bhagavad Prabhu said, sorry Prabhupada, I do not understand what are those shlokas. So Prabhupada said, Bhagavad, I know you and other devotees are doing so many other services, temple management, fundraising, book distribution, prasad distribution, funds collection, so many other activities. But you must also study the books, Prabhupada said. I am writing these books for you to study. You are distributing the books, but if you don't know what's inside the books, that's not very good. You must know what's inside the books also. Then Prabhupada was silent for some time. Then Prabhupada said, I myself read my own books every day. I read my own books every day. Because every time when I read these books, I find something new in them. And then again, Srila Prabhupada was silent for a little while. And then Prabhupada revealed the most profound secret, that because these books are not written by me, every morning Lord Krishna comes and he dictates. I have only given them a written form, but the books have been dictated by Krishna himself. So we make this part of life to daily read Prabhupada's books as well as distribute the books. Just as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most munificent incarnation of God. Namo Mahavadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gora. Just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most munificent incarnation of God, of Krishna, similarly, Srila Prabhupada is the most munificent devotee of the Lord, because he has given this Krishna consciousness to so many souls in this world, and he continues to do so. There is no way that we can reduce the debt that we owe or eliminate the debt that we owe to Srila Prabhupada for what he has given. In the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prithu Maharaj mentions this. When the 4 Kumaras came at his yajna from space, they came. And Prithu Maharaj gave them seats, honored them, worshipped them, and asked them to give some transcendental knowledge. Prithu Maharaj felt so obliged to the 4 Kumaras. And he said that let your own glorious activities be your reward. There's nothing that I can give you in exchange for the knowledge that you have given me. And there, Prithu Maharaj uses this word, Vinod Pataram. Vinod Pataram. That means that if someone thinks that he can nullify the debt which he owes to his spiritual master, then he is Vinodapatram. Vinodapatram means joker. It's a joke to even think that we can, what's the word, reduce the debt to his spiritual master. It's just not possible. Yet, we can act in such ways that our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, is pleased with us by always following his instructions and remaining enthusiastic to distribute books and also to study the books. Recently, on the release of the coin commemorating Srila Prabhupada, Prime Minister Modi, he made a very nice statement. He glorified Srila Prabhupada in many ways. And then he made a statement referring to his predecessor, Prime Minister, Atul Bihari Vajpayee. Atul Bihari Vajpayee recognized Srila Prabhupada's activities and glorified him at the opening of the Delhi temple. And he had said that what Srila Prabhupada had done was a miracle, nothing short of a miracle. And as ISKCON devotees, we can actually appreciate that this was not just an ordinary miracle, what Srila Prabhupada has done, but the greatest miracle in history, greatest miracle, you can say, even in this creation. Such a miracle Srila Prabhupada had made. And his focus was more on book distribution. Many other activities, of course, he performed, but the goal or the center was book distribution. Because this was one of the explicit instructions which Srila Prabhupada had received from his Guru Maharaj, Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, at Radha Kund. Because at that time, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was a little bit in anxiety, seeing that some of the activities of the devotees in the newly opened Bhagavatam temple in Calcutta, where there was some, you could say that amongst the sannyasis, sort of almost like a fight for facilities. Someone was saying, no, my service is more important. I should have this room. I should have this facility, that facility. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ji had said that time, when we were living in a rented house, we were all cooperative with each other. We were having such personal feelings with each other. Since we have come to this big palatial temple, Bhagavatam, Marble Palace, devotees, sannyasis are just competing what room they should get. They're just in anxiety what facility they get. And he made a statement, for all this marble, and if I could sell that and print books, that would be my my desire. So at that time, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ji, he had instructed Srila Prabhupada that if you ever get if you ever get money, then print books. I would just like to finish from the Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat, the same pastime that I mentioned about this Mahaprabhu breaking the transcendental lockdown and distributing the contents to anyone and everyone. So soon after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Panchatattva started this Sankirtan movement, they used to have Kirtan regularly at Srivas Thakur's house. But actually there were not so many Muslims who were agitated by the Kirtan. Rather, it was the Hindus who were agitated. Why? Because they thought, they were fearing their livelihood. Something new is becoming so popular. Nimai. Who will care for us? They were thinking like that. They were worrying, very selfish. So they complained to the Chandakasi actually, that Nimai has started something new. This was never there in the Vedanta. We never followed it for hundreds, thousands of years. You stop it. Please go and... So Chandakasi went by the instigation of these Hindus and told them, stop this kirtan. He broke the Mridanga. If you ever go to Mayapur at Srivas Thakur's house, you will see a representative Mridanga broken by Chandakasi. Not only that, not only he broke the Mridanga, but he warned them, this time I am going to let you go. In future, if I see you doing kirtan, I am going to turn all of you into Malechas, Muslims. And in those days, it was very easy to turn someone, the Hindus, to Malecha or Muslim. Simply, the Muslims would take some water in their mouth, gargle it, and spit at the Hindus. Converted, you have become a Muslim. Preaching was very easy. You don't have to do book distribution, just throw. Of course, we don't do that, but that was their technique. Just throw, spit at Hindus. Now you are a Muslim. So Srivas Thakur and the others, they were very concerned about it. Better you kill us, we don't mind, but we don't want to be converted to Muslims. Such sinful persons, cow eaters, so many other sinful activities. So they approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu, please, you have to save us now. Let Chandakasi kill us, we don't care. But don't let him convert us to Muslims, the most sinful people. Mahaprabhu replied, Srivas and other Vaishnava, I will see how this Chandakasi has the guts to stop my movement. This evening, all Vaishnavas here in Mayapur will gather and will go to Chandakasi's house. So here now Vrindavan Das Thakur has described this incident very nicely. According to the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the Vaishnavas, they came and some of them were playing the Mridanga with two hands, some of them were playing kartals, some were just clapping, some were just raising their hands and dancing. Mahaprabhu had instructed them, because the kirtan is at night time, everyone must bring a lamp. In Hindi it's called mushal. Bring a mushal and bring some oil, because at night, so keep on putting oil so the mushal is lit in the darkness. So here's a beautiful narration by Vrindavan Das Thakurji, that every devotee, out of them, some were playing mridangas, some were playing kartals, some were just clapping, and some were just dancing with two hands raised. But the beautiful thing is, everyone was still putting oil in that lamp. How is that possible? Everyone also putting oil in the lamp. Otherwise the fire will go out and it will be all darkness. Now Vrindavan Das explains, because at that time all the Vaishnavas manifested two more hands, Chaturbhuj form, because they were inhabitants of Vaikuntha. Anyway, and this way they carried on, reached Chandakazi's house. Chandakazi, when he saw so many people coming, he became afraid and hid himself. Mahaprabhu told him, "You are like my uncle. I have come to your house. I am your nephew. How come you hiding me?" Gradually he got enough strength, Chandakazi, to let Mahaprabhu in his house. And there was some talk between Chandakazi and Mahaprabhu. And after that, Mahaprabhu asked Chandakazi, "I see there is a very much change in your attitude. This morning you were threatening to stop this movement. And now I see your mood is very much changed. Why is that?" So Chandakazi replied, "As I was taking rest, a very powerful, huge lion came and sat on my chest. And he said, 'Look, Chandakazi, this time I'm going to leave you. If you ever try to stop my movement, I'm going to kill you, your whole family, and the whole Malicha race.'" So saying this, Chandakazi lifted his shawl a little bit and showed the marks, nail marks of a lion. Who was that lion? Narasimhadev ki jai. So after that, Chandakazi became very softened and even gave an order for all generations: don't ever stop Mahaprabhu's movement. So time is going by. I will like to end here. If any questions or comments, you can do that.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very wonderful class. In this verse, Srila Prabhupada writes in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, that when there is no God, where is the question of surrender? And then if there is no surrender, where is the question of meditation? So anybody who teaches meditation on anything else other than God, they are cheaters. So there are so many cheaters who are teaching all bogus meditation process and all. And then because people are not sincere, so Krishna is sending those insincere people to all these cheaters. That's why it became a combination of cheaters and cheated. So this, that is a symptom of Kali Yuga, where in the night time, when there is no sun or the sun, all these glowworms, they shine. Then Prabhupada says, when there is no Acharya, then all these stupid people, they shine. But when the Acharya appears, all of them, he is like sun.
Yeah, that's very good point you made. It's like when you have some fake diamonds or fake jewelry, you'll get a huge line. People will, when you are sending the real diamonds, very few people will come. That's true in Kali Yuga. Actually, so many theories, but actually they are Gnostic, atheists. According to today's verse, they become prominent. But Prabhuji made a very nice point that if we are sincere, then Krishna will send you to those who are genuine devotees. You are genuinely serving Krishna. But if you just want to do it for a show, or if you are not sincere, then Krishna will send you to all these rascals, you can say. It requires sincerity. And also to make advancement in Krishna consciousness requires great sincerity. That's what Srila Prabhupada said, that you must be sincere. Then the devotee asks, how can we be sincere? And Prabhupada said, you can be sincere by being sincere. So you should become more sincere. This is the most important qualification that any devotee can have. Sincere and surrender to his Guru Maharaj, to his spiritual master. That these are the two most important qualifications.
One more point. This Bhagavad Prabhu's, you mentioned in your class, he after some class, when Prabhupada gave class, and then he asked, when he was a new devotee, Prabhupada, I want to become sincere. Then Srila Prabhupada said, yeah, you can become sincere by becoming sincere.
Right.
Then what is meant by sincerity? Then Prabhupada explained that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I want Him only, I don't want anything else. And then I take shelter of my spiritual master. Then that is the sincerity, Prabhupada said. Then after 4 years, Prabhupada met him in Mumbai only. Then when they introduced him, then Prabhupada remembered, oh, I know him, he wants to become sincere.
It means we have to surrender to every instruction of our spiritual master. That way we will get his mercy. Okay. If there are no more questions, then we'll end the class because our meeting is starting shortly also. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.